Well, hey peeps, or my boos. My name's Wanda, and I've been. You'll have to excuse my dogs. The trash man's outside. I'll be right back. Okay, well, I think the trash truck is down the road enough to where they won't bark. So apparently, I'm going through like a midlife, mid existential, mid religious crisis, I guess. That'd be the best way to put it. It's not fun. And you want to know why I'm going through all this stuff? Well, let's see. The world has went to hell. That's why. I mean, a couple years ago, I was good. I mean, I had my rose-colored glasses on. I was just trucking along, trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to, be the best I could be. And then, boop, it's all gone. And all I'm left with is me, holding a bag that's full of crap that I don't want to go through, don't want to deal with. But see, life has a bad habit of wanting to throw crap at you when you're not prepared or ready for it. And if you're religious, or at least spiritual, or you follow a specific faith, then you might actually know a little bit what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of crazy shit going on. And it's so opposite of any type of faith that people have. And on top of the faith and the moral compass of people, you have, I lost my thought. Sorry. The world is changing in such a way that people, my generation, and especially older generation, a lot of them are having trouble switching, their core beliefs or their core values, and then going to jail or getting, you know, attacked for how they believe. And you go through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all these news platforms, and you see a lot of different views about a lot of different things. And that is something that interests me, in the fact that everything is contradictory. Everything. And about the only thing anybody can agree on at this point is that there's possibly alien life. But we don't know what kind of life. We know nothing about it. We just know that it's there. Which is a whole nother subject that bothers the shit out of me. And there's no contrast with what's going on in the world, unless you're a newscaster or you're specifically for one agenda or one thought or one side of things. And then you see a lot of that. You see a lot of people standing on the left or the right, or the top or the bottom, or sideways. But you don't usually see people in the middle. And those people that are in the middle usually stay quiet, because we can agree with a lot of stuff on both sides of the issues. It's just we think all y'all are just ignorant. I mean, seriously. I mean, a lot of these laws that are being pushed through has went beyond freedom. It's went beyond having your own personality. It's went from a good thing to give people rights and freedoms to be who they are, to pretty much shoving it down my throat. Now, as a person of faith, my personal beliefs on whether people should or be is just that. That's just my opinion. However, if you want to be like that in front of me or around my children, that I consider disrespectful, because you expect people to respect you for your beliefs, but yet you don't want to respect others for theirs. Again, a lot of hypocritical crap going on. Hypocritical crap. And I think my dog's chewing on something. Abel, stop. Now. Stop. And don't look at me like that. So, yeah, I got my little Jesus up there. But as you can see, I mean, I read it all. Yeah, my cigarettes. I'm a smoker. Get over it. But I love to read, and they tell you in school to read because it will broaden your education, it broadens your mind, and it's so true, especially if you read from different genres. And there are some, like one particular author who irritates me to death. I love his books, but irritates me, like Dean Koontz. And I love him. Don't get me wrong, I love him. But I've read some of his books, and they're so good. And then I get to the ending, and I'm like, are you seriously? This is how you're gonna end this crap? But anyway, I digress. This is like my first broadcast, so to speak. I don't know how good I'm doing. I haven't really made any major points. This is actually just an introductory of who I am, without going into a lot of personal details, or a lot of any details really. Just some ideas, just some things about me. And if you are interested in hearing more, great. If not, I don't care. But sorry, I'm looking at I've got YouTube up as I'm doing this. There's a lot of cool stuff on YouTube, I'll just say. And there's a lot of people on YouTube that do a lot of amazing things. Like there's this vocal coach Cheryl Porter, awesome. Best freaking music teacher I've ever seen. And you can tell she really loves her students. So I don't know how to like tag people. So don't know anything about this stuff, so bear with me. But there's a lot of things throughout all the platforms that you hear or you don't hear. A lot of things are fake as hell. A lot of things are the truth, just manipulated. Um, they're taking a lot of people's personal opinions and turning people against each other, and that's not right. And people are falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. Everybody's falling for it. And not only are people falling for this stuff, but people are becoming so cold-hearted and just so rude and hateful. I mean, you can't even walk outside anymore without somebody wanting to be a smartass to you because, well, you're either vaccinated or you're not vaccinated, you're white or you're black or you're green or you're blue or you've got purple hair or you got green hair or you breathe wrong. I mean, seriously. And don't get me started on the freaking hospital crap, because the medical field has turned into junk, at least in my opinion. And I will say this, everything I say is mine and my opinion only. I'm not talking for anybody else but me, so I'm going to start rephrasing my words. I think the health community, not the employees itself, just the way the system is set up, is a joke. And I have a friend who's dealing with hospitals and doctors over her mother, who is deathly, deathly sick. And they made her worse by giving her medicines that she wasn't even supposed to be on, because nobody really wanted to deal with her. She's been jumped from one hospital to another hospital for X amount of reasons, which a lot of the reasons were just pure BS because they just didn't want to deal with it. They didn't want to waste a bed because they consider her like one foot in the grave, one foot out, so they don't want to waste resources on her. I would just like to say, if people can stand behind abortion, which my opinion is not good. I don't agree with abortion personally. But, that's my opinion. What somebody else does, not my concern. I don't think it's right. But if somebody wants to do that, that's between them and their conscience. That does not affect me at all. Whatever. Anywho, you can support the death penalty. You can even support elderly in like old folks home where they barely get enough care to even have a normal life. I mean, these places are junk. And for people who don't really have a lot of money to put into these places, their family members get treated like crap, and they're alone, and they don't get any communication, or they don't get to, hang out with people except for other people who are sick and the nurses, or the other people their age and the nurses, who I'm assuming the nurses are maybe short staffed, or they've got so much on their plate they just can't clean or give, these people baths or wash their hair after a bunch of gook was just put in it for a test. So they just leave it sitting for days, and then this gook, it just soaks into her hair, and when you try to get it out, it pulls her hair out because it sat in her hair for so long. And then they release her with her not even being 100% in, or at least healthy enough to stay out of the hospital. So they release her, and 2 days later she's right back in another hospital. It's just ridiculous. And some of the medicine they put her on made her situation worse, because they were telling her family that she had things that she didn't have. They were symptoms to something else that was actually going on. And instead of taking the 2 seconds to figure the stuff out, they just assumed. And I hate when people assume shit. I just hate it. It just irritates me like unreal. But they assumed. Yeah, I vent. That's what I do. But I've come to the point that people don't listen. I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, and my circle's small. I got maybe one really good friend, and then everybody else is companions that happen to be friends. And they're my friends. They're just not besties. And then I have my family, my inner circle, which is my children. Now, I can talk to my children the way I'm talking to you, blunt. I'm trying to be respectful. But a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that there's nothing wrong with calling out logic. There's just nothing wrong with that. For example, logic. Okay. Why is our government not freaking out over the fact that there are aliens? Why aren't the American people freaking out a little bit more over the fact that there are aliens? And yes, I whispered that for more emphasis on the fact that there are aliens. And not even a tremor. People, you want to know why? People didn't really respond to the fact that freaking Pentagon said yes. There are unidentified objects in space. We don't know what those objects are, where they come from. We know nothing about them, but they are there. And the American people are like, oh, well, I've seen Independence Day. Cool. Hello? I mean, it's like, I don't know if y'all are paying attention. But I actually me and my daughter watched a movie the other day. And it just felt so, it didn't seem like some sort of fantasy made up crap. It looked literally like we were watching real life on real TV. How do people not see that we are literally living everything we've watched over, since media, TV, movies, music, whatever, ever since the communication just gotten so broad, and everybody's watching all these movies and reading these books. And I mean, have y'all not noticed that a lot of new and upcoming artists are writing? I mean, a lot of people are just redoing things. They're redoing movies. We've done everything, people. I mean, there's only so much that we can write about, because we can't write about shit we don't know. Then our imaginations are only limited to, we're human. We only know what we see, think, and feel, and sometimes we have to be in situations to think, see, and feel it. That's where the imagination comes in, to fill the gaps for us so that we can have an imagination. And if you're playing a game, and I know gamers will probably understand this, but when you're playing a game and you play it for a really long time, when you close your eyes or you're going to sleep, you're actually thinking of that little man jumping, or Candy Crush got me. I played Candy Crush so long one day, because I did have stuff to do. I just chose not to do it. I was like, you know what? I want a break. So I sat down and I just played Candy Crush. And I went to bed that night, and I was literally dreaming of candy being dropped, and just it was just the weirdest stuff ever. And I'm like, yeah, I played way too long because that's not normal. Or Call of Duty, which my children call COD. You play that long enough, guess what's in your head? Shooting. I mean, and when children are young and playing these games and they're shooting people and they go to sleep and they're seeing this in their head because they've stared at it for so long. And then you wonder why kids are getting desensitized. You wonder why adults are so desensitized and why aliens didn't even. I mean, more people are pissed off at being called the wrong gender than the fact that there's riots and people killing people on the streets. I mean, just walking up and shooting people. I mean, just killing them. Just bam. You can call me a giraffe if you'd like. I mean, I don't care what you call me. But why is that more important than the fact that people are getting shot and killed for just the hell of it? Because they can know that because they know they can get away with it. Why are people going through this and then turning their head like I don't get it. I don't understand. And that's not being sarcastic. I just don't understand. I mean, you see American pride everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but and even me. I found out a lot more about Independence Day. I actually sat down for once and was like, you know what? This has been a really big deal, and I learned about it in school. But as an adult, I never, I always was like, yay, it's the 4th, fireworks, blah, blah, blah. But I never really paid any attention to it. And I don't like fireworks, by the way, but that's what most people like about 4th of July. It's just the fireworks, the cookouts, spending time with family, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with that. So please don't hate on me because that's a great thing. We need a lot more holidays like that where you can just get with family and friends and just minus the fireworks because I don't like fireworks. I think fireworks are ridiculous and unnecessary and has absolutely nothing to do with anything. My opinion. They loud, probably are extremely bad for environment. They're extremely bad for the environment. And people get killed by them constantly. People still want to be using them. Whatever. You do you, boo. I don't mind watching them, but I won't buy them. I mean, which I know is contradictory, but I don't go watch them because I want to go watch them. I go watch them because, well, I ain't trying to be an ass to my kids and be like, well, I don't think they're all that great, so you should have to not, or you shouldn't get to watch it. They're going to go off whether I'm there or not. They're going to go off whether my kids are there or not. So, might as well let the kids enjoy it. It's just kind of how I see it. It's just fireworks. But I digress. Fireworks ain't even really all that big of an issue. But knowing what the 4th of July actually represents for this country is such an honorable thing. And the fact that people are trying to tear that down is sad. Because the American dream can change at any given moment. The American dream doesn't have to be the same dream over and over and over again for every generation. And that is something that a lot of the generations need to understand. It ain't all about your generation. It's about the whole of everybody. My generation, my children's generations, how I teach my children, how they choose to teach their children. It's all important because it's how we feel, who we are, and what we feel is important to us. I may not agree that spanking your kids is the best option, but that doesn't mean I have the right to stop you from disciplining your kids. Now, if you want to make them bloody and you want to put bruises on them and you want to get stupid with it, then okay, well, then you cross the line. See, there's a line. People don't understand that, but there's this thing that every human innately, I have to learn how to say that word. No, and that is there's always boundaries. You learn it anywhere you go. In work, sports, home, relationships, there are boundaries. There are boundaries because it prevents you from it keeps you humble, really. And it keeps you from getting a big head, and it also keeps you from going and doing stuff that makes no sense and is stupid or will hurt you or put you in danger. I mean, boundaries are a good thing, and that's why rules are there. Rules are due to say, hey, this is the boundary. Don't cross this boundary, because once you cross this boundary, you're going from your own, messing with your own self to now you're messing with other people, and that's not good. Just stop crossing boundaries. I mean, every time you step up to somebody, you're literally up in their yard, face, whatever. Because I mean, think about a damn neighborhood. You can't just walk into somebody's neighborhood and somebody's yard and just, I don't know, put signs, put decorations. I mean, they might let you mow, weed eat if they're not too picky, but I mean, you just can't walk over there and just start doing whatever the hell you want. It has nothing to do with you. If they want their damn house purple, then so be it. Because, well, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And just because your eyes just don't like that color purple does not mean that you have the right to nag them until they change the color. I'm just saying. Because if my neighbor actually, if any of my, I would actually have a purple house if I could afford it. I don't care. You want to know why? Because it's a house. What the hell? It's a house. I don't care. If it makes me happy to have a purple house, then I got them to have a purple house. If I want to put dragon statues in my yard, I'm going to put dragon statues in my yard because I happen to like dragons. So it's all about your own personal space, and whatever you do in that personal space is between you and you and you and the people that are in your personal space with you, who agree with that behavior, who agree with you, who don't, who's friends and whatever. But then there's other people who are like, listen, you do what you want to do, boo, but just leave me alone and just don't push it on me. But see, people don't know how to stop. They just go, and they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to, like me, don't know when to shut up. Life is too complicated. Why make it worse? Just a question. Why not look at the world the way it's supposed to be looked at, and that's logical? And you cannot be logical. The news is not. I mean, the world is not logical anymore. That's why people are having so much trouble catching up, because it's not logical anymore. People tell you, don't believe in this. Don't believe in this. This is not real. Don't believe in this. This has never happened. Our government would never do this. This would never happen. No. You're crazy. You're crazy. No, you're crazy. Well, there's a lot of people that's been saying a lot of things for a lot of different reasons, whether it's religious, political, just whatever. And school systems, because that's another biggie. Schools, the crap they're doing with schools. I mean, seriously. Anywho, um, people will probably hate on me for the stuff I said, which I don't care. Hate on me. My life sucks right now. I mean, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place myself. So, amuse me, be mean, I don't care. But seriously, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to start a fight or World War III or some Twitter battle or YouTube battle. I'm just being me. I'm being honest. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on either. I mean, I'm seeing the same things that everybody else is seeing. And then there's some things that I'm like 2 or 3 days behind on, because a lot of these sites lag. So something happens and then I'm finding out about it a couple days later. So I'm a little behind on a lot of the news, but a lot of it makes no sense. None. And people are like either fighting for it or fighting against it. And I'm looking at both sides. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are being ridiculous. Both sides, y'all are just being ridiculous. I mean, I've got people, I know Trump supporters that, and I know a couple Biden support, not, well, I know one Biden supporter. I know more Trump supporters than I do Biden supporters, but you don't have to go very far to find them, because you can go on any platform or any news outlet and you'll find either the supporter or the whoever's going to support whoever. It's a cult. It's literally a cult. I ain't for neither one of them. I think they're both being stupid. I think they're both being ignorant. I think they're both destroying this country. One, just a little bit at a time. Trump, I don't even know really. I didn't like Trump back when he was in had his own talk show and the whole "you're fired" thing. I didn't like him then. I didn't change my feelings about him simply because he was a president. Sorry, but just because he didn't have my respect before he was my president. So I damn sure didn't respect him simply because he was my president. I was hoping to respect him because of what he was doing for the country, and he did do a lot of decent things for the country, a lot of decent things. And the fact that Biden's undoing everything Trump did really does show you what Trump actually did have in place. So I do have a lot more respect for Trump than I did previously. However, I still don't like him. I still think he's screwing everything up. I think he's going at all this the wrong way. I think he's helping Biden destroy or to separate, to pull apart this country, because you have Democrats against Republicans, and you can't have people fighting against each other. You got all these other countries looking at us. I mean, unless you want to become China's or Chinese citizens or Russian citizens or whatever, and then you got Israel and what's going on, up in that area and all that stuff, and their AI, which is a whole nother subject. The whole AI thing. Seriously, it's like watching iRobot. I actually watched iRobot again because after I read that news report about Israel sending unmanned drones to spy, and now they have unmanned autonomous machines that can kill people, which autonomous apparently means unmanned, that it's all computer. No man controls it. It's just a huge computer system that controls a lot of little computer systems. So you're literally dealing with iRobot. I mean, how do people... And it was funny because after, like, right before Israel did that, or right after Israel did that, because I don't remember, but not too long, it was like right around the same time. I think it was Tubi, one of the TV apps. One of their new movies was iRobot. Coincidence? Probably, most likely. But I still think it's a funny coincidence because, I mean, they have robots killing people, and they have one major robot, the one robot that, like, in iRobot, literally, Vicky. And if you haven't seen iRobot, watch it, and then watch the news, or watch the news about Israel and their drones that's killing people now, and the major robot, the one that controls the rest of them. She learns on her, or it, whatever. It learns on its own. It gets data from satellites, and then in all these different places, and it also gets information from where the people who are doing reconnaissance and stuff actually adds the information into the computer, and then he, whatever, takes all that information and then sends it out to its little boots, and then they do whatever they're going to do. I don't know about y'all, but the fact that there are machines that can kill people without a human controlling it scares the hell out of me, because just like in iRobot, robots cannot distinctly tell the difference between a good person and a bad person. They just can't. So how is a robot going to tell the difference between two men, one that may be a bad person, but one person who's a good person, but may be dressed exactly like the other one? A computer's not going to understand the difference. You're basing a war. You are literally putting life and death in a robot's hand. How stupid can we be? Literally stupid. And y'all were worried about being called the wrong gender. Y'all are worried about inequality. y'all have lost your minds. There's plenty of inequality in this world. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. There is inequality everywhere you look. There are people who don't get fair shakes in life regardless of the color of their skin. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing about how people are being oppressed and people are, this that. You know what? I'm oppressed. I'm a white woman. I'm oppressed. I don't get nearly fair shakes like everybody else gets. I barely survive as it is, tooth and nail, fingernails bloody on the wall, just from trying to climb up out of this damn craziness that this world's just created, where I can't even function properly anymore because my damn mind is split. My damn mind, my damn brain has been split between, okay, well, this used to be fantasy, but now it's a reality. So, how in the hell am I supposed to balance something like that? You can't. You're telling me, you've told me I have been raised believing one thing because that's what the government, that's what people said. That's how I was raised. And then all of a sudden, everything I've known my whole life is nothing but a lie, and people are freaking out. People are going stupid. People are making very rash and ridiculous decisions because every person on this planet is going through like this whole new shift in consciousness. And no, I'm not talking about some woke movement, whatever. It's not a movement. It's freaking nature. People, it's what happens. I mean, the cavemen didn't just walk out of the caves one day knowing everything. They had to learn. White man didn't, or black man or whoever, because I know I'm gonna get fussed out for that one, but certain color men, they didn't just assume that slavery was wrong because, well, back in their generations, slavery was an okay thing. They had slaves for freaking generations, for years, for thousands of years. Every civilization, every civilization at one point or another had slaves, whether they were white, black, Indian, Hispanic. They had slaves or maids or whatnot. You don't see that at all now because people don't have slaves now. Not the way everybody's trying to imply. I think everybody's a slave. I'm a slave. I'm a slave to the government because no matter how hard I try to make my life better, somehow the government wants to change things and turn things around or take my power away from me, take my options, my opinions, my choices away from me, but yet get mad at me because I don't agree.